The day your children are born, you become vulnerable forever. I mean, nothing is ever the same. No, it's okay. We're gonna have desserts. That's gorgeous.
Family's the most important part of my life. It's always been that way, and it takes number one precedent over work, over everything else.
I base my whole life around my family.
I think family is very, very important.
The most important thing about family to me is the togetherness, sticking together.
Being a parent is basically being a rock for my kids, being somebody that can be there for them all the time.
Family to me is always being there for each other.
Everything should be invested into making sure that your family is protected and provided for.
Cord blood is being used all the time. There's now over 40 diseases that can be treated with transplants using cord blood, and that's a huge number of diseases. People are using cord blood far more frequently for transplants today than they did 7, 8 years ago, and the number of transplants being done with cord blood has just grown exponentially. One of the reasons I chose Viacord, not only is it a cord blood banking company, but it is involved in tremendous amount of research into the use of cord blood for other diseases that we don't have indications for today, such as heart disease and other things that may have potential uses for cord blood moving forward. For me, it was important to go with a company that was making value in the cord bloods that I was preserving. I have 3 little girls. I have a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an 18-month-old. Over the last 4 years, in the interval between the delivery of my second and third child, I did a lot more research into it and realized that OBGYNs and the information that we read regularly doesn't talk about the use of cord blood. We just talk about cord blood banking and collecting. But the actual usage isn't done by OBGYNs. It's done by pediatricians, oncologists, and people dealing with diseases that require transplants. We might be there to collect it, but we have no dealings with the children who might need cord blood in the future. And I didn't want to be in a position with 3 children whereby if something happened to any one of them, I was in a situation where I couldn't do something for them. And so I chose to bank for my third, and looking back now, I wish I'd banked for the other 2.
I learned about cord blood preservation from my OB, who just had twins about 6 months before I had Elizabeth. And he and his wife had committed to it, and they were big proponents of it.
I don't really remember when I first heard about cord blood preservation. Somehow, it just came up. I think I read about it in a magazine, and then I saw some brochures, and I saw a commercial here and there, and it was just this thing that was out there that I figured, you know what, I need to look into this because it sounds like a really good idea.
When I was pregnant with my daughter, I had asked my doctor, he said, if you could afford to do this, do it. He was very, very for it.
What I learned about cord blood came from my wife, and when she came in to see me the first time, she was very enthusiastic about it. I, at the time, was not really, certain, but as things have turned out, it was a great choice.
The way we do an umbilical cord blood collection is we do a delivery in the normal fashion. Once the baby's delivered, we clamp the umbilical cord and we take the baby and give it off to the pediatricians for their evaluation. First, we start by cleaning off the umbilical cord. We take the needle and we place it into the umbilical vein. This is a painless procedure. There is absolutely no pain involved. At this point, the bag starts filling due to gravity. Once the bag is full, we remove the needle. Once this is done, we tie off the tubing, we place the umbilical cord blood collection kit on the side, we place that all into the box that's provided from Viacord, and we finish with mom and take care of the rest of the delivery. And at this point, we call the 1-800 number, and what they do is send a medical courier to come and pick it up. This is then brought out to their processing facility for storage.
As a parent, you want to do everything you can to protect your children.
Anything that can help me protect my child is a really wonderful opportunity. So that's why I decided to really look into what cord blood preservation means and what it can do for you.
We felt that this would be something that we would have if, God forbid, anything should ever happen.
I believe that anything that can help my child in the future if anything comes up. Any little insurance, I want.
Preserving the cord blood has clearly given me peace of mind.
If I can do something that in the future may save my child's life or help somebody in our family, you know, overcome an illness, I'd be a fool not to look into it and not to do it.
I think the best time to look into preserving your baby's cord blood is in the early parts of your pregnancy. Speak to your doctor, read some articles, do some research, call the 800 number, go online.
It's never too early to look into it, and you should definitely look into cord blood preservation as soon as you decide to have a child.
After Anthony was born, I was notified that he had sickle cell disease. It was devastating.
When we first found out Taylor was diagnosed with leukemia, it was very hard for us. It was a lot of disbelief. Our whole world changed.
I felt sad. I felt hurt. I felt there was nothing I can do.
How did this happen to us? What did we do wrong?
It's hard to see your child in bed every day, and she doesn't have the want to get up and walk around and play like a normal kid.
I wanted to know, how can I help him? How can I keep him from being in the hospital? After the transplant, my God, knowing that I wouldn't have to deal with this disease, it's just overwhelming.
So when they finally tell you she's in remission, it is a weight off your shoulders. It's a huge weight knowing that that's another day you've got them.
The cord blood that was transplanted into Anthony, our son, actually cured him.
No more pain crisis, no more pneumonia, no more fever, no more sickle cell.
She's still in remission?
Taylor's up and running. This is the most active we've seen her in 4 years.
My day now consists of watching my child grow and watching him have a normal life.
The best time to find out about cord blood preservation, I think, is if you're gonna plan a family.
So many different ways that you can use it that you shouldn't ever think, well, what if I never have the chance to use it?
Cord blood, personally, in my opinion, is probably the most effective means of curing sickle cell disease and other blood-related diseases.
There's nothing we could say but good things about Viacord.
Without using Viacord and the cord blood transplant, we wouldn't have a Taylor today.
Knowledge is power. We know that at one point we were powerless. We got the information on cord blood by way of Viacord, and now we would try to do all we can to educate expectant parents and everyone about the power of cord blood.
There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Do it. You don't ever know what's gonna happen. You never know.